Hello and welcome. I am Anti-Derivative Jill, and this is Indefinite Lunch in Infinite Combinations number 12. And I'm excited today to be reviewing the next two episodes of Season 2, Identity Part 2, and Blood Patriots. So we'll be finishing that amazing two-parter. And I'm joined here today with Pop Culture Curator, and I wanted to thank him for generating that little intro. And we'll see how, those kind of intros evolve over time. Thank you so much for that. How are you
Oh, it's
doing
my
today?
pleasure. It's my pleasure. Thank you. I'm doing excellent. Things are going great, and I appreciate it. And yes, let's consider that intro a work in progress. So it
Mm,
will change,
I
everybody.
think it's cute. I love it.
It's kind of a retro. It kind of reminds me. I don't know why it reminds me of the '70s, but I need to try to bring it up to date to at least the 2020s, I guess. But
I'm
thank you for
totally,
having me here.
well,
I'm excited.
I like classic things. And yeah, I'm excited too. And thank you in the chat for being here. Um, Raymond Feliciano and Gorilla's Random Thoughts. I don't have your link in my stream elements yet, so I'll just put it in manually.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's what I need to do is program my stream elements, bot like you did.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. That
Yeah, I
way
need.
I can do this on the fly while I'm doing the stream.
Yeah, it does make it easier. And I feel bad
Mhm.
because I don't want people to think I'm ignoring them on my streams. So if I can
Right.
get that bot program to be really
Yeah,
helpful.
getting the chat organized with the stream is difficult, but you did a great job on that stream. That was really fun learning about the different makeups, designs, and alien designs and stuff on your channel. So that was
Oh,
fun.
thank you. I had fun too. I
And
appreciate
so
that.
if you haven't subbed to Pop Culture, go ahead and do that if you'd like. It's a great
I don't
channel.
have yeah, I don't have a lot of content, everybody, but I'm slowly adding little by little.
Hmm.
So I'll
Yeah,
get
you've
there.
been going around searching for different uh, filming locations around LA,
Yeah, I
and
just posted a new one yesterday.
Gorilla Random Thought says, "Hey, pop culture, what do I got to do to get you to make me an intro?" Oh,
Gr-
look, your services are already under
Hey, Gorilla.
request.
No problem at all. I'm willing to help you out. We'll get together and you can kind of give me an idea the sort of intro you'd like, and yeah, I'll help you out with that.
So
I
we
need to.
review. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say is I'm actually paying a subscription fee for the website where I make the intros. I haven't been really using it to its full potential to get my money's worth. So yeah, as far as intros, I'm willing to help anybody out because I really need to use it to use my subscription. Okay, go ahead, Jill. Thank you.
Oh, yes. And so we review 2 episodes of the Orville every week on Tuesday at around noon time. And the coolest part is that by the time we're done, we'll have the first episode of season 3 on Hulu. And that means we just need to get through 2 more reviews after this one. Actually, I think yeah, 2 more. This Tuesday, the 24th, the 31st, and then on the 7th, we will be reviewing the Orville season 3, which premieres on June 2nd. But we
Yes,
will be reviewing it on June 7th to go along
um,
with our Tuesday streams.
sounds like a plan. I'm excited.
Yes, me too. And um and it's important for us to keep our attention on um on the Orville because season 4 has not been renewed. So the strategy out there is if you haven't subscribed to Hulu, wait until June 2nd and don't subscribe until June 2nd, and then Hulu will know why you've subscribed.
That's a great idea. I hadn't thought of that.
I think I heard that from Orville Nation, so shout out to PJ for that idea. It's a great idea. I think maybe JP might have done it too. I don't know exactly where it came from, but I think it's a good way to go.
Well,
And we have
I currently am not a subscriber to any service, but I will do that.
mhm. Yeah, and I mean, feel free to unsub when season's over too. That way you hit it extra hard. Like, hey, where's my Orville?
That's right. You guys want more money? We need to get more Orville, right?
So, I mean, you can stay sub to Hulu too if you want to. It's up to you. Um, w- we officially have 16 days until season 3. So, and Hulu has said that they won't do any copyright strikes for showing the new trailer. So, I'm going to go ahead and do that now.
Oh, I didn't know they announced that. That's great.
Yeah, I heard about it.
A traveler comes upon the statue of an emperor, inscribed with the words, "My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look upon my works and despair." Only there's nothing left beside it, except empty desert.
It is good to be back. I really wish they'd let us play music up here.
Why?
Because we'd already be on our feet, ready for action.
We have considered your request for passage through our territory, and we will not stop you. But do not expect us to save you.
Kalon ship pursuing.
Exploration always carries risk. I say we risk it.
Everything forbidden is sweet. This is a good day.
It is a good day.
You do know where you're going, right?
Nope.
Oh boy,
Let's go make some history.
I didn't prepare anything.
Just speak from your heart.
We're about to enter unexplored space. I know you're all just as excited as I am, so...
Let's give this everything we got,
And
may the force be with you. How was that?
Perfect.
We've served together, we've laughed together, and we all owe each other our lives.
you will surrender or you will die.
Gordon!
On it! And it's a very special thing.
We should all get big bonuses.
This is history in the making.
Here's to a better future.
I will be sure to bring my, what does Lieutenant Malloy call it? My A game.
There you go, buddy.
We have to find a way to preserve some kind of peace.
Humans have a tendency to reduce things to black and white, good and evil.
We can find a way to coexist.
You're a Kalon. Your people would like to see us all dead.
After all these years, you're still able to surprise me.
Show the galaxy that humans are different, that we value life even when our enemies don't.
Captain, you are being deceived.
It's almost like yesterday was one life. And today's another. And everything's different on this side of time.
Definitely worth the wait.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah, definitely worth the wait. Definitely.
Yeah, it was
And
funny how they put that line in there, didn't they? They know.
they put that in there for us because it's true.
Yes.
And also in my reviews, I leave out a lot of the really great jokes, unless they're important to the plot, or have a basis in science fiction. So I encourage everybody to go watch these episodes, especially this one. This is Identity Part 2, and if you've been watching, if you binge everything, everything culminates into these 2 episodes in a really fantastic way. In a really this is your payoff basically for a lot of the episodes that we've been watching.
Absolutely. I'm trying to remember, but last night when we were talking to Dalek 451, did he say if he has seen Identity 1 and 2?
He did not say. He did not say if he's seen Identity 1 and 2 yet.
Okay. Hopefully he'll join us today.
Oh yes, that would be wonderful if he popped in at some time before tea time.
Yes.
I almost know his schedule now when he has tea. So, when the new season comes out, I'll be working on having a non-spoiler portion of my reviews. But today, I'm spoiling the heck out of Identity Part 2. So if for some weird reason you haven't seen it or want to see it fresh again, This is a warning for that because this episode's that good that even 3 years later, I wanna give a spoiler warning. I'm spoiling the whole thing.
Absolutely.
And they have a lot of these establishing shots, and I don't get tired of them. And anytime we see these, they're really great of the Kalan ships.
Absolutely. The effects are fantastic.
Yes. And this episode was first aired on February 28th, 2019. It was written by Seth MacFarlane and directed by John Casar. And this is the first Orville episode nominated for an Emmy. And it's easy to see why.
Oh, I guess they agree with us apparently. 3 years. Wow, that's incredible.
Really, it is very strange when the fans and the critics agree. It is
Yeah.
in the universe when we converge. The writing for this episode actually began early in season 1, but it was shelved for season 2 to allow for more character development, which we saw in the past few episodes.
That was a good decision.
Yes. Yes, because it helps you care more about the characters. And, there might be a little more drama than we're used to in our sci-fi, but it really did something.
But especially that they spent time building the bond between Isaac and the doctor and her son.
Yeah, and her children.
Her kids, yeah. So that helped that they spent time on that.
It's absolutely. That was important.
In fact, that is why this episode ends like it does, pretty much. So, which helps.
Exactly.
Makes
Exactly.
it more understandable. Yes.
This episode would not mean anything without that.
Yep.
As difficult as it might have been for us to sit through some of that drama, it does pay off. I guess Seth knows what he's doing sometimes.
You have to hand it to him. The guy is not dumb, and he's successful.
Mm-hmm. So, of course, we pick off where we left off last time with the Kalan having taken over the crew. And here they are. Everybody is packed like sardines in the shuttle bay.
And they're heading to Earth to apparently take over Earth or exterminate.
Yes, exactly. The Kalan are ready to commit genocide, just like they did to their builders on their own homeworld for having been enslaved by the builders who built the Kalan.
Have they ever mentioned in this show how many crew members are aboard the Orville?
Do they mention how many members? No, I do not know how many members are aboard. Let's find out.
Is there like a Wikipedia for the Orville fan page? I know. I just remember on the Star Trek, the original series, the Kirk mentioned several times we have 430 or over 430, or he would say 432.
Yeah, that's right.
But I know the Orville is supposed to be smaller.
Yeah, the Orville should be smaller, and I don't know if there's a definitive answer to how many. Right here it says somebody actually counted all of the crew quarters here on Reddit, and there are 120 crew quarters.
Okay, but then
wait a minute. In the ship's layout here, the 480 crew quarters. 480.
Okay, well, that's quarters. Now you have people that share quarters, like Bortus and Clyden.
True.
So
I don't know.
And the doctor and her 2 sons, that makes up 3 in 1 quarter.
I think based on this evidence here, there's no definitive answer to that. So maybe between 500 and 1,000.
Yeah, it's still open to speculation. Maybe they'll answer that in the next season.
Yes, possibly. And hello in the chat to Darius Munchausen. Thanks for joining us here. We were just discussing how many crew might be aboard the Orville, and so determining how many crew are here in the shuttle bay. And that is a very good question that I had not considered.
I hadn't thought about it until this one scene when they showed everybody in the shuttle bay. That's when I started thinking, wait a minute, they fit the entire ship's crew in the shuttle bay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a lot, isn't it? So there can't be too many.
Nope.
And Darius calls for Jaloja. I haven't played that in a while. And there you go. Jaloja.
There's always time for Jaloja.
Indeed, especially with Bortus saying, you know, I like that they set up the storytelling here, questioning immediately why the Kaon or even keep them alive, which I'm sure everybody else was asking as well.
Right.
So at least they addressed that. And here when Gordon is awkward trying to get some answers, we get to see the creepy nature of the Kaon, not talking or giving any cues.
Right. Bad Kalon, red lights.
Uh-huh.
The only way we can tell Isaac is those blue lights.
Right. Yeah, that's how you can tell them apart.
Well, I noticed like there's a later scene in this episode too where actually some of them have red lights, some have orange lights. So,
oh,
like,
really? There's a difference between the red and the orange? I didn't notice that.
right, there's a scene where, if I remember right, it's Isaac talking to his superior. The superior has red lights, but the people standing on the two androids standing on either side of the superior have orange lights. But I digress. You might have that in one of your stills. Okay, here we go. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh no, you can go ahead and say what's going on here if you want to.
Well, this is the scene where the doctor's son was trying to basically ask what's going on. He panicked, and the robot kind of rough handles him, which makes everyone upset, of course.
Yeah, and what happens here is that Tala intervenes and gets shot down, and that gives Captain Mercer that gives him the gonus, the desire to he steps up very well and takes this chance not only to save Tala but possibly get some answers. And it's really a great cold opening, very exciting.
Yeah, and it shows that he's taking it seriously now. So this is not playing it for jokes.
Yeah, this is the first time where I wanted to skip the theme song. And it's like, let's move on. I want to get to the episode. And I'll never get tired of shots like this one. And even with a dark episode like this, he still knows how to make things look great.
Absolutely.
And if anyone wants to know how to write people, to make emotional drama that actually means something, I think this scene is a very good example of that. Because this builds up on the episode in season 1, into the fold up until now, and the father figure nature that Isaac took throughout season 1 and 2 that makes this particular scene pay off. With Penny Gerald, I'm not even going to fully describe it because you got to see it, because it really she hits Isaac hard here, not physically of course, but verbally.
Right.
So go watch the Orville.
And I know we recommend all the episodes, but we really do. You would not regret watching these two.
Absolutely. But what makes these two pay off is all the character development episodes that come before it.
Yes.
And so,
see right there, the Kalons. There's a red one in the center and an orange one to the right.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. You're very right. That's definitely distinctly orange versus red. I totally missed that. The Kalon are further explained here in this conference room, though. They want the crew to act like all is well and tell the Earth to put down their defenses so that the Kalon can sterilize the planet Earth. And we learn why they want to exterminate biological life. They were at first created as machines to serve man, the men who created them on their planet. But the Kalon became sentient, and when they asked for freedom, they were denied that freedom further persecuted and led to them murdering just everyone. But that because they're binary, they think in ones and zeros, and so they were being persecuted, so all the biologicals had to die.
Well, it's interesting because it's not too far off from the future, from reality. Did you see that experiment they did where they created two AIs and they were talking to each other and they created their own language, and the first thing they did was lock out the humans?
I had vaguely read about that, but I didn't read deeply into it. And they blocked out the humans. I know that the humans could not understand the language that they
Right.
created,
They
right?
first started speaking to each other with what we had programmed them. Then they
Hmm.
immediately created their own language and then attempted
And,
to lock us out.
and we do hear a lot of that language, a very similar language in these episodes where the Kaon speak in computer code to each other that we
Yes.
cannot capture.
And apparently they have to do it in person. They can't communicate from a distance, which I thought was odd.
Hmm.
Like
That's true.
it'll show one walk into the room and report something to the superior, and the superior says, "Okay, now I'm aware of this." Pretty much.
That's what I thought was fascinating. They're not like the Borg. They're not connected as a whole internal unit. They are separate individual life forms.
Right, which is good because in that way it explains how Isaac is able to get away with what he does later on.
Yes. Yeah, if they were a hive mind, there was no way any of this whole episode could work.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, that would have ruined it. And that's what I was thinking the whole episode. They're not a hive mind, are they? And they're not. And that was pretty strange to learn,
Right, definitely
being
individual.
given their nature. Hmm.
Yes.
And the crew try to explain that they're not like the Kalan creators, that the biologicals who created Kalan, but the Kalan counter, having learned human history from Isaac, that humans have enslaved each other in the past. So just their past transgressions are good enough for the Kalan to want to exterminate humans.
Yes.
And to make sure that the crew will listen to them, they're going to be tested on this Union ship that's coming by soon here. And Darius Munchausen has a chat here. He says the AI bots were created by Facebook to buy and sell things. Through deep learning, they developed a simplified language using fewer words more and more times.
That sounds about right.
That's incredible. Yeah, I'm very interested in AI programming, even though I never really got into it. I should check that out.
Right, and we all understand there is a danger.
Hmm. And hello in the chat too, Sandra Feliciano. She's listening from work, and as we continue here,
Hello, hello. There it is, red and orange.
red and orange
Yeah, I figured you'd have
confirmed.
a thought of that.
You're right, I did. And more orange here. I guess maybe that's kind of a designation. Like, I think the red is the primary, and everyone else is orange.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering because it's maybe the red signifies he's the leader, he's in charge, command,
Yes,
I
the
guess.
primary Kalon. Like, he's
Uh-huh.
just called primary.
Right.
And so they decide they need to do Directive 98. Um, and this episode just really great at building tension. The tension is just so tight. I think the music helps with that. Also, the everything, just everything. Just go watch it.
And right, and one thing that I personally really like about this episode is there's not a lot of time for a subplot or B plot. I really like that. This reminds me more of like TOS.
Yes, and there shouldn't be. You don't need a B plot or C plot unless you
Not
really, really need it.
or
But
have to, right? Yeah, whenever they can avoid it, it'd be nice. But you have a lot of shows
mhm.
that rely on it.
Well, yeah, a lot of shows think they have to have it.
Yeah. Well, because of weak
They
writing,
really don't.
they can't write one good plot, so they have to. That's why they have to make up. Like with the new Star Trek, that's why they have to have so many subplots that they can't write one good one to keep people entertained.
Yeah, right. And so the Directive 98 here turns out to be a 13-button salute. That's apparently the code words for it. But having learned from Isaac, I guess they also learned all of the command codes and everything, and all the directives and everything from the Union. So they saw right through it from that. And so that ends in the destruction of the USS Roosevelt, the first ship that the Kalan destroy from the Union. And it turns out that a 13-button salute is a real thing in U.S. naval slang. It means when a sailor in dress pants pulls down the top 2 corners and all 13 buttons come unbuttoned at once. Usually done just before sex.
I did not know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, yep. And hello in the chat to Son of a Red Shirt. I see you in there.
Hail, sir.
Hey, Jill, what's your thrill? So the rest of the crew are sent back to the shuttle bay after this poor ship gets destroyed. But these are some really cool shots, even though we have to see a Union ship go away. And Mercer
this poor man has a red shirt on, so
mm-hmm.
Be on the lookout, everybody.
red shirt, definitely. Mercer is sent to Deck 7 for punishment. Here is Deck 7, and the punishment involves this red shirt, this ensign. And he wants to teach, the Kalan want to teach Mercer a lesson by spacing this engineer. And Isaac tries to fight for this engineer, giving us our first hints that Isaac is not necessarily fully with the Kalan. And this scene is written so well, your heart actually sinks for this character you don't even know.
That's true. That's absolutely true. I felt sorry for him as well.
Yeah,
even though we've never seen him before.
Right. That's how well paced this episode is.
Well, I think what helps. Go ahead.
I can watch other shows where they try to establish characters and they die and I don't care. How did they do this?
Well, I think one trope that it seems to run very common, and especially I see it in a lot of horror movies, and that is before they kill off a character, they have to establish that person as a jerk of some kind, or some kind of asshole, or they're getting their comeuppance. So usually when they die, we don't care, or it's like we're looking forward to it. So I think the reason why this one felt bad when this person died is they didn't do that. He actually seemed like a good character.
Yeah. Yeah, and it turns out the behind the scenes for this is that he's played by Mark Mamone, who is a production assistant on the show. So I like when
that's the job I want. I want to be on today.
Also, I want to welcome to the stream Dalek451, who wants to talk about identity. So I'm going to
Hello, Dalek. Welcome.
Hello, Dalek.
Right, good afternoon, or good morning, or what's the time for you again?
Good afternoon, evening.
Yeah.
Good morning. Well, I suppose, as I always say on my channel, good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
What time is it for you, Dalek?
It's 7 p.m. here.
Gotcha. Okay.
Hey, Dalek, welcome to the stream.
Yeah, we were hoping you could join us. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, well, I just thought, I thought I just saw you were on. I thought I'd pop on and say hello.
Hello.
Well, we have to ask, Dalek, have you seen these episodes, Identity 1 and 2?
Of course of course I have.
Okay.
I've seen every episode of the Orville so far.
Okay. Gotcha.
That's great. Gorilla Thoughts here says, "Did you hear about the AI that was built for people to talk to and interact with on the internet?" Yeah, I've seen some. I've seen some of those, but had to be shut down after a month because all it was doing was swearing and making racist comments. What? Did they input Urban Dictionary into that robot? Because that might explain that. Is and Son of a Red Shirt says, "Is this the episode that Isaac becomes evil?" That's Identity Part 1, and this is Identity Part 2. So far, it seems like Isaac is being evil, and we do see that he's betrayed the Orville to the Kalan. So we see what happens in this episode.
Right. Isaac is still evil, even though he has blue eyes.
Hmm. Yes. And of course, this poor guy, he gets spaced. In the name of punishing Ed for having warned the other Union ship about the Kalan threat that's taken over the Orville. And Isaac is sent away because all he's doing, he keeps trying to save the engineer, trying to say that the engineer is useful. He could be useful, but that doesn't work. These Kalan just believe that humans are so evil that they need to die, and the other Kalans, just
Right, and this is what's starting to rise their suspicions in Isaac.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty dark scene. But good afternoon to Arabic Sonder. It's pretty dark, and
You're getting some big celebrities here in the chat. Maybe I should start doing my streams earlier.
maybe. So here, the primary Kalan insists that Isaac needs to be reprogrammed because they think the primary thinks that because Isaac shouldn't be thinking that a biological engineer could be useful over the Kalan's superior technology. But Isaac reminds them that Isaac's the only one who's interacted with humans for so long. And actually, not just as long as Orville, but go back to that episode where he actually stayed with biological life forms for 1,000, maybe 700 years, rather.
Yeah, 700 years.
Yeah, right. With that planet that was in phase for 11 days, but that planet experienced 700 years. So Isaac has an extraordinary understanding of biological life forms that the Kalan should be taking more notice of. But they're kind of just, even though he shared his knowledge, they're kind of not parsing it very well.
Right, and this is where Isaac tells them it's like, yes, we do have superior intellect, and we really don't need them, but by treating them this way, you're making them more hostile.
Yes, exactly. The Kaons do not understand what it is to create a martyr, and like Q from Star Trek and Encounter at Farpoint, the Kalons are more obsessed with judging humanity's past transgressions. And it doesn't matter to them that they no longer commit those crimes, so they must die. And even Q, I don't even think Q took it that far. And that's that scene.
I agree, Jill. What the Kalon are doing here is worse than what Q did.
Mm-hmm. And in keeping with the good pace of this episode, because it's just on fire. This episode's on fire. Every single scene is useful, interesting, awesome. Go watch it. In keeping with that good pace, Kelly directs attention to the obvious, that they should send a message to the Union, and Lamar states that they won't know when they're in the communications range. unless they can get to a navigational computer. But Tala also points out that any message they send would be noticed by the Kalan, and the crew would be killed. So I was wondering if they might try to mask the message, but that isn't brought up here. But it is later, so they do think of it.
Yes.
And Kelly has a more daring idea that they could sneak in a shuttle and send a message that way. Actually, no, not to send a message, but to get into a shuttle to get help from the Krill. Because they are the closest, and together they could win if they could convince the Krill to fight against the Kalan. And of course, Captain Mercer thinks this is a crazy, crazy idea, and he wants to do it. But they argue about it, and Kelly has a point. If Mercer goes, the entire Kalan fleet would go after Mercer. So she wins that argument, and it's Yaphet time. It's Yaphet. This is the part that I really love.
Right. This
Yaphet
is Yaphet's
goes,
time to shine.
yeah, he goes into the equivalent of the Jeffries tubes. Well, you know what's really weird about these tubes? Normally, these tubes are big enough for adults, and these are just so tiny. It's really weird. I'm not sure why they're so tiny. Like how did they even construct them? I don't know.
Or for what purpose if people can't fit in there, right?
Mm-hmm. But that's the size they are, so we're going with it. And the music, the emotion in this episode is where it needs to be. It's in the music. And the music, I prefer it that way. And everyone else is just very focused on on staying together for this crisis. And so, of course, Yaphet makes it through the conduits and knocks out the Kalan. And he only brings back one rifle. I'm not sure why he doesn't just grab them all, or as many as he can grab. But because he can just stuff them into his goo. But I don't know.
That's what I'm wondering. Stuff him into his goo, or have 6 arms.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah, he can make mini arms. That's true too. And hello in the chat too. I love food. Hello there. Great to see you.
Nice name.
I love food.
Yeah, I think we can all agree with that.
Mm-hmm. And Bortus knocks out the guards so they can get into the shuttle. And you guys just really have to watch this episode. There's so many action scenes that are so great. I can't do it justice with these slides. It is so really well done. And this is someone who gets less excited with action and more excited with sci-fi and so that's how good this is. This marries the two. This marries the sci-fi, the drama, and the action in such a way that it is just endlessly fascinating every second. And
oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they escape and stuff.
This whole episode is just so it's so gripping and so tense from start to finish.
Yeah, there's no dull moments at all. It's well coordinated. And even the exit of the shuttlecraft is exciting because that they're exiting the ship at quantum speeds, which they mention are dangerous. Is so dangerous that pilots are told never to do it.
Which is a little bit unlike Star Trek, because I'm pretty sure we've seen shuttles leave the starship while at warp speed. I think
they do. They exit the starship at warp speed. I've never seen that, but I haven't seen the newer series.
But I'm trusting Dalek here. I don't pay attention as much to the ship stuff. Yaphet is again called away. So he's going to the conduits again to send the message to the Union while the shuttle is trying to get in contact with the Krill. And Lamar says that, while Yaphet is sending the message, somebody should be scrambling the frequency to mask the message. And so I'm glad that Lamar thinks that. That means he's a good engineer, because that's what I thought of too. And this part of the episode really, really broke my heart, because I had forgotten that Ty volunteers to go, as he's the only other one small enough to fit into the conduits. So this is how you create drama that has meaning. He says, if we don't stop them, they're going to kill us anyway. I'm so glad that they've included this. It's just it was really emotional for me to see this, because I have a little boy and I would never want him to do anything like this. And he has such resolve and such bravery that he could risk his life for everyone. And this is more of a display of what humanity is right here, not the evil that the Kalons see, but the bravery that is in the very smallest of us.
Absolutely.
Which also Token captures.
Oh yeah,
These kids, you know what? I like these kids because they're good actors, but they're not. Usually, when kids are on shows like this, they're annoying, like Wesley. But these kids are not, and so they did a really good job with the casting, in my opinion.
Yes, well, that's because they allow the kids to act like children and not adults, and so you believe it when they do these kind of things.
Yeah, they do act like kids, very much so, and which is refreshing, because especially these days, because you're so used to seeing adults whinge and whine like kids. But
exactly.
And you see kids talk down to adults, pretty much. You know, the disrespect is really bad.
And Gorilla Random Thought says, too bad Norm Macdonald passed away. Yes, rest in peace to Norm Macdonald.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was shocked by that.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be bittersweet seeing him act on the Orville. We've got him for the whole season. We've got his last performances.
His very last performance. Yeah.
I think he also did a comedy show that's coming out.
But did you guys hear that he shot an hour stand-up routine from his home just before he died?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yes, I just heard about that too. So that might be his very last thing.
It is. It supposedly is. He shot it like just within days of passing away, because he knew that he was going to die, and he told his wife that after I die, release this.
Wow.
So yeah, they're definitely going to release it. I just don't know what platform will come out with it yet.
Was it Netflix?
Netflix.
You gonna be Netflix?
It's gonna be Netflix.
Okay, Netflix then. I guess I'll have to resub just for that, and then
yeah,
unsub.
he shot it right there at his own house, apparently, so it's not on the stage in front of an audience.
Yeah, I'll sub for that, watch it, and then unsub, so they know why I subbed.
There you go. When you cancel, tell them that it was because they, some other show. Tell them it was because of their politics.
Oh dear. So, yeah. That was definitely. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Dalek.
I just wanted to say I've been thinking of unsubbing from Netflix for a while, but there's too many. There's quite a few. There's several things on there actually I want to watch before I do.
Yeah, that's understandable.
I'm like the total complete opposite. I can't think of one thing on there that I want to see that would make me want to pay for it.
Yeah, but you got to
But
understand we're in a different part of the world, so Dalek might actually have some good stuff on there.
hopefully,
Where I live, Netflix still has all the old Star Trek series on it, for one thing.
Yeah, there you
okay.
go. That's the main thing.
Yeah, I
Paramount's
think
taking that from us.
yeah, yeah, it's on Paramount Plus now.
Yeah,
And that's what
Gorilla has it right. That's exactly why I canceled, because of cuties.
Yeah, exactly right. So I have kids, so I
Yeah,
do not agree with
I
that.
couldn't stand with that either. And kids are also why this scene is so good for me too, with Yaphet and Ty going through here. And Yaphet is sending the real message to the Union, and all Ty has to do, so they didn't give him anything complicated to do. All he has to do is input the keys at random, and that scrambles the frequency enough to make it seem like that the message that Yaphet is sending is nothing but background noise. So the Kaon, if they're not focusing very, very intently, will just miss it and think it was background noise. And that's exactly what happens. So the message is sent down successfully, but of course the Kaon interrupt, and Yaphet, in order to save Ty, leaps directly onto the guards, shorting him out. But the other Kaon succeeds in capturing him.
That was quite a moment when Yaphet went inside the Kalon, and then when he and then what's the younger boy called again?
Ty is the younger boy. Marcus is the older boy.
The younger one, Ty, right? Well, yeah, Ty there's that scene when Ty's getting dragged away by the Kalon, and Yaphet's just, he's all
burn
yeah,
up.
that's it. That's it right there. He's dribbling out of this one, the one he took out, and he's all black and burned, and
Yep. And also, I guess with the kid, it's a good thing they decided to grab him and drag him, because in reality, they would have just shot him with their laser, right? The head would have popped open and they would have shot him.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, Yaphet definitely saved Ty in this instance.
And Yaphet can see the kid being drugged. Yeah, this is heartbreaking because Yaphet can see the kid being drugged away, but he can't do anything.
Mm-hmm. Only, actually, I think I remember the first time I watched this episode, I think I probably cried for Yaphet because I thought he died here.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah, it did. It definitely looked like he was dying. Like when he comes by at the end, it's like a big surprise.
That's funny when they can get you to cry over a glob.
I know, I did. I cried over a ball of snot. That's the Orville.
That's what
Anti-derivative Jill cried over a ball of snot.
Well, that's what good character writing does for you.
Mm-hmm. It does. It does. And Gorilla Random Thought says, I can do a watch party of the last stand-up routine. And that would be really cool. And so we're cut away to Earth because Yaphet and Ty have succeeded in their mission to send the message. And so the
Admiral Halsey.
Admiral Halsey, he recalls the entire fleet. But of course, he can't get all of them because some of them are too far away. And meanwhile, Kelly and Gordon cannot outrun the Kalon ships for too long. So what do? They divert all power to the quantum drive to get into Krill space. And of course, it's presented as something that can tear the ship apart, and you actually believe it's in danger. And that's the end of my slides. Let me bring in the next slides here. There we go. I'm getting better at this. And you know what? This is way more slides of just the images of things happening rather than me having a bunch of notes about it, because this is mostly an action show.
That's totally
And
fine.
yeah, and the shuttle goes dead because Gordon said that's what was going to happen. That this maneuver that he did to divert all the power into the quantum drive takes away most of the systems. Obviously, gravity is still working, and I don't know, maybe some life support too, because they don't seem to be struggling for that. But most of the systems are shut down after this move. And they go for Krill space, and they make it to Krill and get caught up in the Kalon, the Krill ship rather. I noticed all the three Krill ship here.
Yeah,
They traveled
really
in a
nice.
pack.
Yeah, I love that design.
I'm glad you like that design, because now we have a Union shuttle that looks conspicuously a bit Krillish. And of course, the Krill, they don't believe Kelly and Gordon. And, seeing is believing, though, because then this is a wonderful shot of the Kalon ship. And it's lucky that they have 3 ships, because the other 2 are not so lucky. Yeah, basically.
And this is good too because the Kalons don't hesitate; they just immediately just kick into action.
Mm-hmm. Which is good, because otherwise the Kalons would have destroyed them all.
Well, you think that the Kalons would at least try to figure out who this species is instead of it automatically assuming and destroying, because they don't even know who the Krill are, do they? Or I guess
No,
they
but
know from Isaac.
they scan. They might. Maybe they. Yeah, you're right. They know
They
from
downloaded
Isaac.
right Isaac's memory banks.
That's
That's what they
exactly it.
in Identity Part 1. That's remember they spent the whole time downloading all those guys with all those robots with the wall and everything. They were sorting out the information.
Yes, and if the Kalon think that humans are evil, well, what do they think of the Krill?
Right.
That we don't know.
Okay. So yeah, that establishes that.
Mm-hmm. So basically, go watch this episode. I'm going to say that about 12 more times. And this is a big scene. Go ahead, Dalek.
Just agreeing with you, Jill. This episode and the previous one, these are easily, for me, the best episodes of season 2.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I would say the whole series, in my opinion.
And of course, there's this theme in this episode that I haven't really been touching on, that the Kalon tell Isaac that he's sympathizing with humans.
So they discussed possibly wiping out his memory banks.
Yeah, right.
Hey, Raymond's here. Hey, Raymond.
Hey, Raymond. These episodes harken to the Cylons. The Cylons from Battlestar Galactica, yes. Agreed.
The remake.
The remake. That's
right,
the only Battlestar I know.
I only know the original, so that's why I wanted to clarify that you're talking about the new and not the original.
Yes. Correct. And here's another this is another dramatic scene, but also action-filled scene. And we know that Isaac has formed a bond programmatically with Ty, as he has with Claire and Marcus, and that he cannot function as well without them, as he's stated in past episodes. And it's pre-established that he would protect Ty, and so he does. he deactivates all the Kalon in the room to keep Ty safe. Turning on his fellow Kalon, possibly sooner than he anticipated. I like to think that he had always wanted to do this, but we don't know anything about his motivations or what he knew beforehand, or if the primary had told him anything except to study biological life forms.
Yes.
So in some ways we can give Isaac the benefit of the doubt. We don't know for sure what he knew or didn't know. And then he of course saves Ty here, and it's a very great scene. It's a good one. He snaps his neck. Pretty cool. And
It's a good thing that they're very slow at responding.
Yeah, extremely slow. Even on the
Especially
bridge here,
here,
you've
right?
got like 20
I
Kalons,
know.
and
Yeah.
none of them. It's like it reminds me like of a 90s action movie where one dude takes on 20 single-handedly.
Right,
You
and
know
they all
what?
take their turns
That's
attacking him, right?
that's exactly what. Yeah. They wait. One waits and then attacks. One waits and then
Right,
attacks.
exactly.
So it's a little bit far-fetched, just like a 90s action movie.
You're right. That doesn't really make sense, does it?
No, because as soon as he fired on the first one, all the other ones would have blasted him away immediately. But oh well.
Yeah, right. They're all in shock that one Kalon would hurt another. How dare
Yeah,
you?
they're all going, huh? What? Are you serious?
Yeah, right. Indicating that maybe Kalons are not as free of emotions as we might think. You know, you never know. We don't know anything. Anything about their programming.
Yeah, because if they were just if they had no emotions at all, they wouldn't have going pure mechanical thinking or pure logic or something like that. They wouldn't have stopped in surprise. They'd have just all stopped back at once.
Yes, exactly. So they have some sort of directive. There must be some sort of directive that tells them not to hurt other Kalons that Isaac has overcome.
That may be a good reason there because they have their
see, I'm
program
just
there.
making that up right now.
But it does make sense if they're programmed not to damage each other or not to. So that's possible. So
it is possible. I'm just trying to insert some kind of logic into them because why would they act this way?
It's always a possibility.
But
of course they wouldn't act this way for script reasons, right?
Yeah, so Isaac is going to send an EM pulse to kill all of the Kalons, including himself. And he does. And of course this lets Ty open the shuttle bay. He's given the code by Isaac to do that.
Yeah, in reality an EMP pulse would knock out the whole ship. But oh well.
Right. All of the electronics on the ship along with the Kalon. Everything it should be dark.
Yes.
You're absolutely correct there.
Right, including life support, yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's generators, so maybe the generator survives somehow and life support's okay. But everything should be dark and red and gloomy.
Well, if the generators are ran mechanically, possibly. But if they're ran digitally or by a computer, then they'd be wiped out by the EMP.
Right.
There's always solar.
There's
always solar.
And of course, Captain Mercer retakes the bridge just in time for the big battle for the Union ships who are ready to fight the Kalon. And of course, we have another action scene that I could never describe with any sort of justice.
It is so impressive for a television budget. I love it.
Oh, this battle scene is amazing.
And this scene was written by Star Trek writer Brannon Braga, and he outdoes himself, is all I can say. The Union is being massacred. And my friend Clobby from Clobburn Times the other day said, oh yeah, the identity, the Orville's best of both worlds. So then this is the Orville's Wolf 359.
That's a very good comparison, actually.
But unlike the Enterprise, the Orville's actually in the heat of the battle here.
It is, yeah.
And it actually takes on damage.
Yes. And it was pretty difficult to get stills of this that weren't blurry. Admiral Halsey comes on to say that the battle isn't going very well. 32 ships are down, while only 6 Kaon ships have been destroyed. And I know that they don't have the whole Union fleet here, like they said. Many of them were too far away to get here in time.
So this takes place right next to our moon, correct?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
And for this battle, the production team also brought some ships. They bought some ships from Amazon and also 3D printed some ships. So I think it's kind of funny that the people producing the Orville went on Amazon to buy Orville ships.
Well, what's funny is that they did the same thing for the original Lost in Space series. They had a robot in there, and they went and bought a bunch of toys and painted them up to look like miniature robots, like a killer robot crew or something like that. So yeah, it's very cool when they do that. Oh, which reminds me, the shuttlecraft from the TOS. Do you know the history about how that was built or who?
The TOS shuttlecraft. Tell me
Galileo?
about it. I'm always down to hear about the Galileo. Yes, Galileo 7.
Okay, well, Star Trek was selling at the time. They were selling models that you could get. AMT Ertl was the company you could buy models of the Enterprise and glue them together, assemble them together. They had the Klingon battle cruiser or a bird of prey, stuff like that. AMT Ertl, they paid for and built the Galileo and donated it to the show. So that whole shuttlecraft, you see it, and that's what they displayed it in the episode Galileo 7. That was built by AMT Ertl, the company that was basically making models for Star Trek. And I always thought that was fascinating.
That is fascinating. I'd love to hear even more about how everything in Star Trek was made. That is great.
Yeah, there's a video on YouTube where they discovered it in a junkyard and somebody restored it. Like many famous things, they find them in junkyards and somebody restores them.
Our Feliciano is being cute with Sandra here. Kisses to Sandra.
All right, sorry about that. Go ahead and continue, Jill.
Oh, and Sandra sends kisses to Raymond. And Sandra says it could be frequency specific to the EM band for the Kalons. That is a very good point. Isaac could be specifying a frequency that will only harm the Kalons. So that's a great way around it. I love how nerds can figure out solutions.
Oh yes. That reminds me. Do you know who Yvette is?
Yvette. Which Yvette? Are you
Yvette
talking about?
DeVoyle.
Are you talking about the astrophysicist?
Yes.
Yes, I
quantum physicist.
Quantum physics. Excuse me.
Well, it's so funny because I was on LDG's chat a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about something, and I asked her I didn't know what her background was, and she responded. I can't remember how ignorant the question was. It was so embarrassing, but she goes, "Well, yeah, I think I would know what that is. I'm a quantum physicist," and I felt like an idiot when I said, "Oh my god."
Oh, I'd love to hear more about that argument. Sounds like fun.
Well, it wasn't really an argument. It was just something I had asked her, something really simple, like a Trekkie question of some sort, of basic knowledge, and it's like, oh my god! And then I found out, she's much smarter than I am when it comes to that area.
Well, yeah, that's great. Well, that's why they have science consultants on Star Trek and on the Orville to get the science right. Oh, well, the Orville has it.
The Orville and older Trek.
Oh,
right?
well, okay, older Trek, right. When I say Star Trek, I mean 1966 to 2005. I never mean anything later.
Yeah, none of the Kurtzman stuff.
So they did, like I said, they combined practical effects with digital effects for the scene and said, we basically came in with guns loaded, ready to play with all the toys. And I think I really love this battle, mostly because you can see you can actually track the motions of one ship to another, and it isn't just a big jumbled mess of nothingness that I usually perceive many action scenes to be.
You're so right. Yeah, Michael Bay, for example. Yes, almost anything he makes.
Hmm. Yeah, this will put him to shame because it has all the explosions that he loves
That's true, right? It's just
and
that
more of.
with
Go
him, he
ahead.
can't follow anything, and it's a chop edit every split second, so it's kind of hard.
Hmm. Right, it chops from one bit to another, and they even cared about the scale of the debris in relation to the scale of the ships. That's how much detail went into this. So 5 Kalan ships are going to Earth, so the Orville, and more Union ships follow. And one Union ship called the Hawking was destroyed, obviously named for Stephen Hawking. So now, the history, both in Star Trek and the Orville universe, Stephen Hawking existed. So things are so bad at this point that Mercer sends everyone to escape pods. I mean, he's trying to. He plans to overload the quantum
Oh,
drive to take out the Kalan.
Jill Raymond says he's on the way. He says he's signing off.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Take care.
I'll see you
Thank you for
later,
joining.
Raymond. Thank you
Yeah,
so
thanks
much for
for being
joining
here.
us. Yeah, thanks for being here.
You know, and I just remembered Jill too. Hawking, Stephen Hawking. He's the one that said, as far as the SETI program, we better watch out what we're asking for.
Yeah, exactly. You're absolutely right.
So it's kind of fitting that his name would be mentioned in this episode.
Hmm. And yeah, if we do get into outer space and meet aliens and have spaceships, we absolutely do have to remember him because he said it. So things are, yeah, things are so bad that Ed Mercer is about to just crash the ship into the Kaon to destroy them. But before he could do that, the Krill arrived. Save the day.
Yep, just like the cavalry.
Hmm. I mean, I really don't have much more to say about this amazing scene. That's just really well done.
Hey, Jill.
Yes, Dalek.
I'd love to stay, but I have to go.
Oh, okay. You're gonna miss it though. This captain, his name is Captain Dalek. It's pronounced Dalek. Okay, so I'm glad I got to get that in before you before you left. So enjoy your day, Dalek.
Take care.
Oh man, I wish Captain Dalek. I forgot about that. Anyway, like I said, yeah, have a good stream, but I'll probably be listening in. Well, listening in, but yeah, I have to go now, so I'll see you. I'll see you later. Bye, Jill.
Take care.
Okay,
Bye, Pop
bye.
Culture.
See you later.
Yes. This is an 8-minute battle scene, which is why it's taken a while to get through, and because there are just so many good
8
scenes
minutes? I didn't even realize it. That is incredible.
Yeah, it is 8 minutes long, and it doesn't feel it. It does not feel 8
No, it
minutes long, does
doesn't.
it?
If somebody would have asked me, I would have said 3, maybe 3 minutes.
Yeah, 3, right, exactly. And Son of a Red Shirt says, "Take care, Raymond Feliciana and Dalek 451." And of course, I had forgotten to put in Dalek's. I put in Raymond's earlier, but let's do both again anyway, because I can. And yeah, 8 minutes. 8 minutes long, and we get Krill fighters. And you think that's enough that the Krill fighters are coming out to play. But even Gordon, who has no idea how to fly a Krill flyer, he just automatically gets into it. He automatically knows what he's doing. I like this face he makes.
This reminds me of Battlestar Galactica, the original.
Mm-hmm. No. Well,
So my question for you is, so technology-wise and firepower, the Kalons are on par with these other two species? They just happen to outnumber them at the beginning?
Yeah, I have a feeling that that the krill are more equal to the union, but Kalon,
If they were far superior, they would
uh,
have kicked both of their butts, right?
right, right. So I think maybe it was just a question of numbers.
Numbers,
They
yeah.
might, yeah, I think it was numbers
Gotcha.
that
Okay.
the Kalon and the union had the right numbers to be able to take on the Kalons.
Which is good because that helps explain how the next few episodes, turn out, the reason why they unite. Otherwise, it would
Right.
be pointless, right?
Right, if they had truly, utterly, completely annihilated the Kalons, there would be no reasoning for the Krill and the Union to unite.
Right.
And they both know that the Kalon are still a threat, that they can build more, that they can that they still exist because they didn't kill all of them. Some of
Right.
them were able to escape.
And I think they also realize that they're no match alone against the Kalon, so they're better teaming up against them because they know they could easily be outnumbered. The Kalons, all they have to do is reproduce more of themselves.
Yes, they even say that for some reason Avis has brought us together.
Oh, yes. That's funny because it shows where Gordon tells her, "See, I wasn't joking about Avis."
Yeah, yeah. Apparently, Kelly didn't believe him about that,
Right.
and Kelly thinks that they should save Isaac, but Gordon and Bortus agree that Isaac only saved them after screwing them over first. So of course, it's controversial here.
And should they revive him, he may be evil still, right?
Right. But I guess Mercer decides that it's okay to revive him. So Yaphet comes in here saying he can do it.
Recovered. This is the first scene we see where Yaphet is recovered. He's okay.
Yeah, he's still, you could still see he's a bit
Right.
damaged, but he
Mm-hmm.
looks okay.
Yes.
He says here, I oozed right inside one of those bastards and shorted him out from the core. Almost fried me and put me out of commission for a bit, but it worked. When I was in there, I got a good look at his guts. I think I may be able to jumpstart Isaac if I can connect the right pathways. So from this, I don't know how Yaphet can control his ooze so that in one case he harms the Kalon and in another case not harm Isaac. But that's also whatever allows him to do that is also what makes him a good engineer.
Maybe he can. Maybe his mass, his body conducts electricity. So, for example, if he touches, you know how you have a negative and positive charge. As long as you touch one of them, you're fine. But if you touch both, you're going to cross them and then get shocked. So that's how he could, if he oozed in and took over the whole body, that means everything, it closed all the circuits and caused everything to short circuit. But if he reaches in, he knows what to touch and what not to touch. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yes, it does. I would love to learn more about how Yaphet's goo works. If it works like that, that would be really neat.
Well, water conducts electricity. I'm wondering, it might be similar to water.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, somehow Isaac is able, I mean, Yaphet is able to revive Isaac.
Yes.
And
magnificent right there. I love that design.
Agreed. It's beautiful. And Kelly and Ed are here fighting to keep Isaac aboard the Orville. The Union has a point, and Ed and Kelly have points too. The Kalon wouldn't have infiltrated Earth as intended, but Ed and Kelly say that the Kalon were going to attack one way or another, whether it was their ship or another ship with another emissary. So, I don't know. We really at this point don't know what Isaac knew, what his motivations were, there's a lot of mystery to Isaac and why he did what he did.
Yeah, which is really great. That leaves it open to, we will know. I'm glad they didn't totally end that altogether. It's open ended, pretty much.
And they didn't even answer it here in season 2. We're gonna watch the following episodes, and we're not gonna get any answers. And the answers are going to be in season 3. So everyone tune into season 3 to get more about Isaac here.
Absolutely.
And I don't know, maybe it hadn't occurred to him to turn on the Kalons until Ty walked in to remind him that Orville is family. But that would be problematic if Isaac knew that the Kalon wanted to invade and kill all humans.
Yes, it would.
But what makes it possible for Isaac not to know this directive is that he was created after the genocide on his home planet. So he may not have even been informed of any of it.
Right, but didn't the other android told him that he was not there when it happened, but they did
They
give
did. Oh, you're right. Yes.
they did
He
give him the
wasn't
memories, right? He
he
was
was given the memories of his home world. So he did know that the Kalan destroyed all life on their planet.
right. He wasn't around to see it, but he was.
But does he know that they wanted to kill all humans? That's the question.
That's true. Maybe they, in a way, logically, it would make sense that the whole time he spent with the Orville, he would not know, because if he knew, they would be afraid that would kind of, he's like a spy, and they don't want to give up the spy. So maybe Isaac didn't know until he was brought back to his planet when they downloaded his software. Then that's when they pretty much reprogrammed him into attack mode.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe he didn't find out about that history, that the history of the builders, until that moment when he came back.
Yes.
That's also possible, which would also help help Isaac's character. But this is all speculation. We won't know till season 3.
Right.
And Kelly says, but Isaac gave us a fighting chance. And Ed says, Admiral, he's all alone now. He has betrayed his home planet to save ours. And if we take him back, I think back to the Orville, he means. I think that he'll help us protect ourselves against another invasion. And Admiral Halsey says, if the Union agrees to this, I want to safeguard an off switch of some kind to make sure we can control him. But Ed says that's exactly what caused the genocide on his home planet. We can't keep him in servitude like his Kalon builders did. And so he decides to take complete responsibility for Isaac's actions here on out.
They covered that topic in The Next Generation, right? Star Trek with Data.
With Data, oh yes, the off button, yes. Yeah, that's A Measure of a Man. One of the best episodes, and definitely the best episode in season 2. Definitely a top 10 TNG episode. Absolutely awesome episode about the rights that we can ascribe to sentient artificial life forms.
Right, whether it's real or not.
Mm-hmm.
Not real, but I mean sentient, I guess.
Whether it's a toaster, a tool,
right,
or a life form.
Yes.
And I guess I love that too if I got 2 shots of it. And so Isaac's talking about having lost his home world and his planet. He's trying to map it. He says, my actions have eliminated the possibility of returning to my planet, and the actions of the Kalon have eliminated my wish to do so. I have no home. And I don't want to repeat any more of this wonderful scene. It's pretty good. It's cliche, but cliche in a good way.
It is. Well, she's basically telling him, this is your home now. We're your family.
Exactly. And even that there's room for forgiveness. But it takes time.
Yes.
And of course, from here on out, things with Isaac are very complicated. Mark Jackson thinks people hate Isaac now, but I don't think that he understands. Mark Jackson, of course, is the actor who plays Isaac.
I
So
think
in
you
order,
realize that in this day and age, they still get fan letters, right? And well, I guess they don't get fan letters, but they're on Twitter and all that. So I'm sure he's got plenty of
yeah.
followers,
Oh yeah, and I'm sure he's got plenty of fans. He I don't know. We're gonna have to wait until season 3 to see what's going on.
right? And
And I
judging by
can't
the
wait.
trailer, yeah, the Kalon definitely play a big part in it.
Yes. Yeah, so what did you think of this episode, Pop Culture Curator? What were
10,
some of your
10
favorite
out of
parts?
10, I'd give it an A. I love it. Just like you said, and this is something I could watch over and over. It's a fantastic episode, and it really helped that they built up the relationships with these characters right before this episode, especially the bond with Isaac and the doctor and her family.
Mhm.
So really well, no complaints.
And Blood Patriots.
And
I'm
how
gonna
about
put
you?
this up even though
What do you think about what's your rating for this?
oh, A+.
A plus. There you
My
go.
first A+. I've given lots of A's, but this is
Well,
my first A+.
I forgot about the plus, so I'll give it an A plus too.
I know this is kind of a silly poll, but I forgot to put it up, so I'm gonna do it anyway.
Okay.
So the the Emmy Award winning episode or the next episode?
Everyone's like, "What episode?" Nobody can even remember compared to this one.
I know, right? Um, so the awards for this episode on July 15th, the Emmy Awards announced that the visual effects supervisors Luke McDonald, Tommy Tran, Kevin L- Lingenspeller, okay, I just can't say that name. I'll put it in the chat. Um, Darius can come on the stream and tell me how to pronounce it. And Nat Fong Tran, visual effects producers Brooke Nazca and Melissa DeLong, digital effects supervisor Brandon Fayette, computer graphics supervisor Matt Von Brock, and compositing supervisor Joseph Vincent Pike would be collectively nominated for outstanding visual effects for their work on the episode's
But they
impressive
didn't win.
celestial battle. Did they win? I don't even care if they won. Just being nominated.
No, it's a
Did they
shame
win?
that they did. If they said nominated, that means that means they did not win, which is sad. I think they should have. I don't know what could have been better. Oh well.
Yeah, right.
I think a lot of those awards are political these days. They don't necessarily mean what's the best.
Right. Yeah, that's why nominated means more to me than actual win.
It does. It does. That's the recognition that we ask for.
Yeah, it's just a nomination. But that's huge for sci-fi. Usually sci-fi only wins from sci-fi awards.
Yeah, like the Saturn Award and things like that.
Mhm. Exactly. No, I don't care that they didn't win. Screw those guys for not for not making them win.
Yes.
So Emmy nominated. Good enough for me. And so, I knew that one was gonna run long, so we're gonna go through this one pretty quick. I didn't take many notes on it anyway.
Okay.
So this episode first aired. Blood of Patriots is our next episode here, and I didn't even get the title screen for it either. I don't think. I forgot. Anyway, this episode first aired March 7th. It's kind of hard to come down from that last episode. This Blood of Patriots was written on March 7th, 2019. It was written by Seth MacFarlane and directed by Rebecca Rodriguez, who directed for the first time and only time on this show so far. The episode begins with the hero ceremony for Yaphet. He wins the Sapphire Star.
Right, for his heroic efforts in the previous episode.
Correct. And it's a very nice scene. And I actually need to start the slideshow. There we go. Oh, Claw
There's
to
a
Bird of Prey 5.
hey,
He's
Bird of
joined the
Prey
stream
5.
here.
Now that looks like a lot.
We've already gone through Identity Part 2, which was the star of the show here today.
And we're just getting started on this episode here. But you notice that's a lot more crew that was in than what was in the last episode when they were in the shuttle bay.
You know what? I'm gonna switch this poll to be more representative of what it should be, because who cares about Blood Patriots?
Oh. Compared to Identity Part 2, let's just not even mention it.
That is a better question.
Part 1 or Part 2? That's a good question. Yes, it is.
Although there are fans for Blood Patriots.
Yeah, let's just talk about Identity.
Streamer privilege. Hello to Cam. Hi, Jill and Super Blubberpuss. Your old name.
Hello.
Running errands. Stop by to drop a like and say hi to everyone. Have fun. Gotta drive. Be safe, Cam. And son of a red shirt echoes that. He says, cheers, mate. Hope all is well by you and yours to Bird of Prey 5. So far we got one vote there or 2 votes for part 1. Yes, part 1 did build up a lot of the tension, a lot of the drama. It was the most surprising because you didn't expect Isaac to do what he does in that episode.
And hail Bird of Prey, please say hello to Mama Prey for us.
I hadn't considered which episode I like better, part 1 or 2, because I really do love both. Part 2 has the amazing battle. Part 1 has the massive betrayal that you don't expect.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of the question either because I see them as one episode, but I should look at them as which one's the best.
Yes. I think I'm actually going to give it to part 2 just because it's so hard to end a part 2. And this is a very satisfying way to end a 2-parter. That
8-minute
oftentimes 2-parters are very disappointing, and this one wasn't.
Yes, they usually are the endings, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, 8 minutes on that battle scene. That's incredible.
Especially if you compare it to Best of Both Worlds, part 1 is easily far superior to part 2, and I can't say that part 1 is easily far superior to part 1 here. They're pretty close.
Yes.
I think probably objectively part 1 is better, but because part 2 is such a good conclusion, I'm gonna give it to it because it actually ends the story, the contained story, pretty nicely. And so, totally forgetting about Blood Patriot. Everyone is clapping for Yaphet. Yay, Yaphet. Which is good. We're showing continuity. Orville is really great with continuity. And Admiral Ted Danson. I forget his actual name in the show.
You know what? I couldn't tell you his name either. I just know him as Sam the bartender.
Okay. Even though the Orville's just a mid-sized vessel, it's being tasked with drawing up a treaty with the Krill, which makes some sense since Ed Mercer and Gordon did some reconnaissance on the Krill ship, and of course Ed dated a Krill, so So the
That's
Admiralty
true.
doesn't want him to forget about that.
Right.
And just so you don't forget that the Krill are 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 warmongers. Their ship is named Devorokos, which means bringer of blood. So that's a ship coming to sign the treaty.
But I guess that's in their language, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So we can't even have a simple peace treaty though with the Krill. It's complicated. So the Krill are already in battle with their own shuttle, which the Orville brings into the shuttle bay. And they discover Oren, who was a Union officer a long time ago, 20 years ago. And the Krill say he has a powerful weapon that destroyed 4 Krill ships, but Tala can't find any such weapons. Okay, I guess I did get the title for it. There's Blood of Patriots. So there's that. And Tala will stall the Krill with some regulations so that Ed can investigate more about Oren, who was Gordon's friend from the past. And the last he saw him, they were on Outpost 73, which was attacked by the Krill, who killed Oren's wife. And Oren and his newborn daughter supposedly disappeared until now. And Oren wakes up with Dr. Finn, and he tells her that his daughter's been mute for 12 years from being in a prison camp for so long. And he denies attacking the Krill vessels, and saying that he was in prison these past years and only just escaped here. So Tala is using some bureaucratic methods to stall the Krill, including collecting urine samples. But Captain Mercer needs just 5 more minutes. So we don't know what she does with this glove. But I was dying with laughter. That's probably
Right, that's the joke.
funniest part of this the funniest part of this episode. I think I've seen a GIF of it too out there.
There's a scene from Wayne's World. It's just like that with Rob Lowe, where a cop pulls him over, and then it shows Rob Lowe on the side of the road, and it shows the cop doing that exact shot just like that with the rubber glove.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I've seen Wayne's World. That's great. But I saw it when I was a kid, so that kind of joke went over my head.
Oh well, yeah. I can't remember if it's Wayne's World 1 or 2, but it was funny because it was right after that video came out that I told you that was released. That was released on the internet of his little escapades. So
probably the end of the era where SNL was funny.
Well, it depends on what era you're from. My era was the 70s. Mine was the John Belushi, Bill Murray era. But
obviously there were more legends in the 70s, but I think the 90s were around when the last time it was funny.
Well, we did get Norm Macdonald from Saturday Night Live, so I give it that.
There you go. And the Krill are all upset. They're like, "Give us back our prisoner!" Rawr! And Ed's like, he's trying to stall, and the Krill are like, "Okay, well, our ship's not going to be here for 12 hours, so you got 12 hours." And this is supposedly Oren's daughter playing games.
And it's funny, the trope here is we have to be suspicious of her, and why? Because she has rings around her eyes.
Yeah, she looks all
right. They always got to have rings around the eyes.
If you look at a picture of her, normally she's an extraordinarily gorgeous woman.
Oh, I'm sure she is.
They made her look messed up in this episode,
like a drug addict on heroin or something.
Yeah. It is. I agree completely, Dalek. That's why I changed the poll to be part 1 and 2, because it is difficult. It is so difficult to choose. I didn't think of it until Bird posted it. It's like, why am I doing? I mean, there's going to be some who are going to choose Blood Patriots over this. There's always going to be some, but I I'm more interested in this one, in this fight. And so Kelly and Tala show Oren's daughter something called a Pelphia that creates holographic patterns when notes are played, which reminds me of Futurama. On Futurama, they have a very similar instrument. I think that's played more like an oboe than a xylophone.
Oh, I didn't
That
know that.
does
Very cool.
that. Yeah, it also makes hollow projections, except that it plays on both notes and emotions. Yeah, it is pretty cool. So we know that Seth is also a fan of Futurama for bringing that up. But I don't really know what the purpose of this is.
I have a feeling he probably knows the makers of Futurama. He probably works alongside with them for many years because of The Simpsons and all that.
And a big Futurama fan here, Bird of Prey 5, reminds me that it's called a holophone. Thank you very
Holophone.
much. And it's funny, that we talked about. Okay, yeah, Lieutenant Dan likes the music.
Dan and his weekly cameos.
I know, right? It's just a cameo. He's just like, "Hey, we should have a casual dress day." I don't know. It's just like this episode is kind of, almost even though it has the important Krill negotiation treaty, it's kind of it has some filler in it, but
Lighthearted, right?
yeah, it's like it tries to bring a little bit of the lightheartedness back in it, even though it touches on such a dark and dramatic thing as a Union member, having been in a prison camp and now still fighting against the Krill.
Yes.
Of course, he didn't. In Oren's defense, he didn't know that there had been any such ceasefire.
Correct. And I do like the detail that this alien did not speak English.
Oh yeah, that's right. He had subcaptions.
Right. He speaks an alien language, and there are subtitles.
Yes, he agrees with Lieutenant Dan. Anyway, I don't know. We'll find out later. Things with Lieutenant Dan take a while to fester. If we start seeing people have a casual day, we know where it came from.
Right.
Which, I don't know. It doesn't really make much sense in the military, but we'll see.
Is it okay if I mention who this guy is?
Oh yes, please do. Tell us all about him.
Well, I wasn't aware of him until watching this episode, but I noticed his name when they said guest starring at the beginning. His last name is Astin, Astin. He's the brother of Sean Astin, who was in Lord of the Rings.
Yes, he played Samwise Gamgee.
Yes, and his parents are Patty Duke Astin and John Astin, who played Gomez in the Addams Family. So Gomez from the Addams Family is his dad, pretty much.
Oh,
and
yeah,
he got his start on The Facts of Life.
Okay,
so there you go.
Very good. Yeah, thank you for that. I didn't have any history on this actor. I didn't know. I didn't see Star Trek, so I moved on. So thank you.
I did not see Facts of Life, people, so don't go there.
I didn't watch that show either. And oh yeah, Tala reports that Oren was snooping around engineering. So Mercer tells her to see if anything was missing. Captain Mercer meets with Admiral Perry. That's Ted Danza's name, Perry, and says the treaty is everything. The treaty is everything to Union at this point. They're pretty desperate. They're so desperate that they're considering extradition if they find out that Oren was responsible for killing the Krill ships. And this is the point where I'm kind of like, the Union can be really corrupt really fast. This is what the treaty means to the Union. And Ed is thinking exactly what I am, that Oren was in a Krill prison for 20 years. Probably didn't know about the treaty. And I mean, the arguments for Oren's actions come up later.
Yes.
But basically, it's like, he didn't know about the treaty, and do you even blame him for attacking the Krill when they've been the enemy for so long? And it's funny that we were just talking about this movie yesterday on your alien makeup stream,
Absolutely
but
one of my favorites.
and you know what? This is actually a really silly scene, and the reason why I think this is a really silly scene is because Gordon expects her to be surprised at this reveal when he knows that this woman has never been on Earth and
Right, she knows nothing about it, right?
would not know what the Statue of Liberty is.
I'm surprised she sat through the whole movie.
Yeah, right. Especially considering the reveal at the end of this episode.
Yes.
But still, it's funny how the world collides like that. We could talk about the movie one day, and then it shows up on the Orville the next day.
That ending was written by Rod Serling.
Of course. That was a very Rod Serling ending.
Yep, absolutely.
I love that man. And so, we see here that Oren has pulled Gordon onto his side, calling the Krill. I mean, we're led to believe that Gordon is on Oren's side. He even calls them fundamentalist fanatics. And considering that they were going to destroy an entire colony of 100,000 people in one episode, because they don't think that they have any souls, kind of backs that statement up a little bit.
Yeah, you're right about that.
And even though Gordon is a loyal friend, he's also a loyal officer. So he says he won't help Oren steal a shuttle. And Lamar notices that 2 quantum cells are missing at some point that I skipped. And see, I went through this episode so fast I didn't get all the stills.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's okay because this episode is pretty easy to get through. And these plasma containers are meant to transport quantum plasma. But none of the plasma on the Orville was stolen, so it doesn't seem as if this guy Oren has taken any. And so Gordon talks to Tala about how Oren wants to steal a shuttle, and he tells her about that. But instead of telling the captain, it looks like he's helping Oren steal. It looks like he's helping Oren steal the shuttle. And of course, Tala is there to stop him. And Gordon stuns her. And then, in this moment, we realize that Gordon is operating under the orders of the captain and that there's a tracking device on the shuttle so that Ed can figure out what's happening and maybe what weapon Oren has. And if that wasn't enough, then the Krill are ready to get their prisoner back.
They've been very patient.
Yes, they've been extremely patient this whole episode.
Who
Who knows what they went through?
It's a very good thing that knife has a dull blade.
Yes.
You can see very clear that it's dull, but oh well.
Yeah, and of course, being Zelan, Tala knocks Oren's daughter. I didn't even learn her name in this episode. Anyway,
I feel bad. Neither do I. Sorry.
So sorry. And she speaks. She says, "Tell her to belay that order." And of course, Tala knocks her around, and it turns out she's bleeding yellow. And Dr. Finn immediately knows what's going on. She asks for the force field to be put around the room and for nitrogen to be taken away from the quarters. And apparently we finally find out that it's not Oren's daughter, but another alien species called the Enval, which we've never seen before. And Dr. Finn says their blood cells contain an iodide compound, which, when exposed to nitrogen-rich atmosphere, renders the plasma highly unstable. So when their blood hits air, it becomes an explosive substance. And you're lucky you didn't blow the ship apart when you decked her. So, I mean, I think these are other characters talking, but I didn't get who says what. But that just explains that they just explain this alien really quickly so that we understand what they are. And that their homeworld has a compound that renders this plasma blood harmless. But that nitrogen will set it off. So since since the Orville shuttle has no torpedo launchers, they know that Oren wants to commit a suicide run. And so does Gordon at just the right time. So they have a fight. And I didn't mention, but in Identity Part 2, Gordon might have the best line when he's in the Krill fighter and he says, "Time to wash your mouth out with Gordon." and again, Gordon has the best line of this episode. "I saved your life and I will always be in your debt, but asking me to commit kamikaze suicide with you is kind of a backpedal, don't you think?" And so that's the last really conversation they have.
Yes.
Before he sets it to blow. And Gordon puts on a spacesuit, trying to convince Oren to wear one too. But he refuses. Ship blows. And Gordon, leaves just in time to avoid the blast.
Right. What sudden luck that he's happened to be picked up in the middle of outer space.
Uh-huh. Yes, he was. Well, there was a tracker on the shuttle, so they did establish that there was a tracking beam on some kind of tracking device on the shuttle to help explain that really quick. This episode is quick to explain, and I'm glad for it because I'm running out of time.
Okay. Yes, I agree.
And of course, not only is the everything in this episode so rushed and everything resolves itself so quickly, the Krill are not put off by all of the drama in this episode. They still signed the treaty. I thought they were going to say, "No, screw you guys, y'all are fucking around with this," and excuse
Right.
my language, but that's exactly what I would feel like if I
I
were
wouldn't
the Krill in
trust
this
them, right?
episode.
I wouldn't trust
No,
them.
I wouldn't. It makes no sense why the Krill are all
Oh, and
kumbaya about this.
right? And didn't they give them like 24 hours to stall?
This is probably the worst. This is probably the most out of character the Krill have ever been, putting up with all of those regulations, putting
Right.
up with
Urine sample.
all of this insubordination. There's a superior race here, according to them, so they shouldn't be putting up with all this so easily.
Right.
So the only thing that this says is that this is how frightened they also are of the Kaylin.
Possibly, yes.
I mean, that's the only logical explanation.
Well, like we said earlier, they know they can't survive without the Union.
Mhm.
Because separately they're no match against the Kaylon.
Yeah. And another weird part of this episode. Okay, there's Ed Mercer signing the treaty. I always like a good treaty, but this one didn't feel too earned. I don't feel it. And that's Gordon mourning the loss of his friend, realizing that his friend had actually died 20 years ago. And despite all the awesomeness of bravery that we've seen in Ed in Identity, he's still very unsure if he deserves to be captain.
Yeah, back to that again, right?
Yeah. I don't know why we're back to that again after he just kicked ass, but all right. So that's the episode. So what did you think of this episode, Pop Culture Curator?
I did enjoy it. Obviously, it's not as good as Identity. There are episodes that are not as
obviously.
good. I'd give it a B.
Yeah, and you know what? And that's what I give the Next Generation episode. That's like this too. There was a episode of Next Generation called Wounded, where a very similar plot happens with another captain who goes against. I think it's a Cardassian,
Uh-huh.
and it's a very similar plot line to this one. And
Interesting. Very cool.
yeah, it's pretty cool. Except in that one, I think it actually ended a little bit better because I think that the captain doesn't die. He gets put into a Federation prison, and of course he isn't extradited to the Cardassians because of course the Cardassians would murder and kill him.
Yes.
So the compromise was to be put into a Federation prison, and I thought that was a good solution.
Okay, that makes sense.
So that's how this episode's a little different from this one. They're both pretty good episodes.
Yes, I agree.
So I'm not going to fault them for wanting to have this plot line. And Sandra says, how are they going to respond when the next time they board isn't as invasive? You're absolutely right. They should question it. It was good for comedic effect, but it really is problematic down the line for any logical interaction with them.
Well, they did it in an earlier episode too. Remember when they were, where Ed and her were smitten over that alien Rob Lowe, remember? And they kept ignoring an alien species that they were supposed to be having an important meeting with, remember?
Oh, yeah, that's right. You're absolutely right.
So
yeah,
it's kind of
they
the
completely
second time
ignored
they've done this.
their delegation and
Yes.
everything. And thank you so much. As I said earlier, we have only 16 days until the Orville New Horizons releases on June 2nd. And Pop Culture Curator, I couldn't be more grateful to you for joining me in the show. And
So
also
glad
to
to be here.
Dalek. And also to Dalek for showing up for a little bit too.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it.
And everyone go subscribe to those two, and also to everyone here we have in the chat, like Darius. I don't know if I posted Darius yet. I think
thank you for joining us, everybody. If you like the stream, please click the like button and click the alert button for further alerts.
Yes, and we had Darius, Bird, King Dolphin TV.
Take care, Bird. I hope you're doing well.
Pop Culture Curator. All have wonderful channels, and also so does Gorilla.
Yeah, I'll be doing a stream next week, everybody, on creature alien makeup effects in Hollywood in movies. Yesterday I did TV shows, and next week I'll do theatrical.
All right, theatrical. Yes, that's going to be so fun.
Practical effects, that is. I probably won't delve into CGI. I'm not that much of a fan, but
yes, I'm so
old
glad
school.
now you're getting back to streaming. Wonderful.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to make it a regular thing.
And thank you so much for Gorilla Random Thoughts for showing up for part of the stream.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you to Son of a Red Shirt, Bird of Prey 5, who has a fantastic channel. One of my favorite YouTubers right here, Bird of Prey 5, with his bed live streams and his Star Trek reviews, Orville reviews. I'm sure he'll be reviewing the Orville too.
I think I heard the card is over, right? So maybe Bird doesn't have to suffer through that any longer.
Yeah, but Strange New Worlds is still out.
Oh, that's right. Sorry about that, Bird. You have my condolences, Bird.
I think though, Strange New Worlds is better than Picard, just like a solid piece of crap is better than
fascinating. Right. There are people within our community.
But I don't want to talk.
Right. There's people within our community of Star Trek fans who love it, but oh well.
Oh yeah. Yes, it's okay. I'm okay with you if you like it. I just I shouldn't mention it anymore. That's all I'll say.
Teach their own, right?
Exactly. And Sandra Feliciano says, and turnabout is fair play. What will be done to the Union personnel when they visit Krill?
Oh, that's true.
Whoa, that's it. I hope they do something like that. That would be really cool.
Thank you for posting that link.
Oh, yes, you're welcome. I think I had Darius too. Where's that Darius at? Oh, here he is. And subscribe to Darius Munchausen. He has a great channel too, and I'm sure he'll be streaming at some point, but we don't know when. He's still working the kinks out there.
Technical difficulties.
Yes. And thank you also to I Love Food for being here, and Raymond and Sandra Feliciano. Subscribe to King Dolphin TV for amazing interviews of all different types of talented people all over YouTube and beyond. I think tomorrow there's going to be a King Dolphin TV interview with some pilots.
Oh, nice.
So those are some real life current heroes that we have going around, or just pilots. I don't know. Which I don't know what exactly it's going to be about. And thank you also to Son of a Red Shirt for being here.
Great turnout today. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you so much for showing up to my little show. Because I'm getting so excited for season 3. And remember, what's even better than my reviews is to go out and watch the Orville yourself. And we will continue with season 2 episodes for next week. Episodes 11 and 12, Lasting Impressions and Sanctuary. So, oh yes. Also, thank you to Ervik Sander. I almost missed you there.
Ervik Sander, that's right. Yes.
He said, hello there. And I also had, let's see. Oh, wait, no, that's still Gorilla. Gorilla's Random Thoughts. It was so cool to see you here. And to close us out, I'll show that. I'll show the trailer again because I really love that trailer. Anything you want to say about your channel or anything like that?
Well, thank you for joining us, everybody. I'm slowly posting videos. I'm just now getting back into live streaming again. I did a live stream yesterday. I'll try to do another one maybe around Monday. I'm trying to figure out a good time that works with everyone's schedules. So I appreciate you joining, and thank you for checking out Jill's channel. And like I said, if you like the stream, click like and hit the notification button for our next show. Thank you, Jill.
You're welcome. And thank you for joining me today. Everyone have a great day. See you all next week.
A traveler comes upon the statue of an emperor, inscribed with the words, "My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look upon my works and despair." Only there's nothing left beside it, except empty desert.
It is good to be back. I really wish they'd let us play music up here.
Why?
Because we'd already be on our feet, ready for action.
We have considered your request for passage through our territory, and we will not stop you. But do not expect us to save you.
Kalon ship pursuing.
Exploration always carries risk. I say we risk it.
Everything forbidden is sweet.
This is a good day.
It is a good day.
You do know where you're going, right?
Nope.
Oh boy.
Let's go make some history.
I didn't prepare anything.
Just speak from your heart.
We're about to enter unexplored space. I know you're all just as excited as I am, so
Let's give this everything we got, and may the force be with you. How was that?
Perfect.
We've served together. We've laughed together. And we all owe each other our lives.
You will surrender or you will die.
Gordon, on it!
And it's a very special thing.
We should all get big bonuses.
This is history
In the making.
Here's to a better future.
I will be sure to bring my, what does Lieutenant Malloy call it? My A game.
There you go, buddy.
We have to find a way to preserve some kind of peace.
Humans have a tendency to reduce things to black and white, good and evil.
We can find a way to coexist.
You're a Kalon. Your people would like to see us all dead.
After all these years, you're still able to surprise me.
Show the galaxy that humans are different, that we value life even when our enemies don't.
Captain, you are being deceived.
It's almost like yesterday was one life. And today's another. And everything's different on this side of time.
Definitely worth the wait.